Arcfieldweather.com meteorologist Paul Doreen here on Tuesday morning, October 29th. Well, we're going to focus in on something we really haven't talked much about in the last several weeks, and that's severe weather, including the possibility of tornadoes over the next 24 to 36 hours or so across much of the Central Plains. And I don't think this is the last severe weather threat. I think there could be another one later next week, and we'll talk about some of the reasons why over the next few minutes. The main peak season for tornadoes across the nation is February, March, April, but we really have a secondary peak in the fall, October, November timeframe. If you go back and look at some historical records, there's kind of a second peak of tornadoes again in the fall season. It's not all that surprising when you think about it, because the clash of air masses in the middle part of the nation takes place twice during the year, during the springtime and then again in the fall. Now in the springtime, as you move from February to March to April, the warm, humid air surges from the Gulf of Mexico into the middle part of the country are becoming more and more dominant, whereas in the fall, the incoming influx of colder than normal air from Canada into the western and central U.S. becomes more and more dominant. So the same kind of result, though, with a clash of air masses. In this particular case, this is the area to look at, probably from late tonight into late tomorrow night, centered on the day Wednesday, with severe thunderstorms possible right across the heartland. And this includes, again, a tornado threat in places like Oklahoma and Kansas. And again, I think there'll be maybe another round of severe weather to talk about later next week. Well, let's go through last night's 0Z run of the Canadian model. I think it has a pretty good handle on both the tropical situation down the road and in the near term, the severe weather threat situation. And this is the 850 millibar temperature anomaly forecast map for this morning, and we'll go forward for several days here. Again, this is the kind of a pattern where you have an influx of warm and humid air pumping from the Gulf of Mexico into the Mississippi Valley region. At the same time, you get some colder air masses pushing in from the western U.S., perhaps from Canada, in this particular case from the eastern part of the Pacific Ocean. That sets up that clash zone right here. And again, this is the same kind of pattern that takes place in the springtime, only in that 3-month period, let's say February, March, and April, you have a more and more dominant warm air influx from the Gulf of Mexico, whereas this time of the year, more and more dominant cold air influx from the western U.S. into the central states. But the end result is kind of 2 seasons of severe weather out across the Central Plains. And again, tornadoes are on the table. Now, let's move forward here. Again, we mentioned that another threat exists for next week, and we'll see the reasons why over the next minute or two here. Here we go into the midweek, and a lot of this warmer than normal air will push to the east by tomorrow afternoon, Wednesday, and then again on Thursday. Places like D.C., Philadelphia, New York City should climb well up into the 70s on Wednesday afternoon, and then to near 80 degrees on Halloween Day on Thursday afternoon in the I-95 corridor region. Look at out west, though. A colder than normal air mass dominates the Rocky Mountains. Here is the delineation between the two as of midday on Thursday, with the cold frontal system and colder than normal air to the west, warmer than normal air to the east. Now, we'll push forward into the upcoming weekend. This is Friday. Similar pattern with warm and humid air over the Midwest and Mississippi Valley region. This is by the middle of the weekend, and colder than normal air right here. Kind of a repeat performance here into the latter part of the weekend and early part of next week. Now we go a week ahead to next Tuesday, and here we go again. Same sort of a pattern again, with this influx of warm, humid air for this time of the year, all the way from the Gulf of Mexico into the Great Lakes, and that colder than normal air intrusion from the west, setting up potentially another clash zone. This is a week from right now, next Tuesday, November 5th or so. And so again, the threat over the next 24 to 36 hours or so of severe weather looks like it will not be the last. We'll go forward through the latter part of next week, and here we go. Similar kind of pattern all the way into the latter part of next week. This is all the way out to next Thursday. Again, colder than normal to the west and warmer than normal to the east. Well, in addition to that clash of temperatures across the middle part of the nation, you always look for upper level support. In this case, we're looking here at the vorticity maxima. These are areas in the atmosphere that produce spin in the atmosphere and in the upper part of the atmosphere specifically, and down that results in enhanced upward motion down at the lower levels. Where you have enhanced upward motion at the lower levels, that's where you have your clouds developing and potential for rain, snow, thunderstorms. In this particular case, we have indeed quite a vigorous upper level system here moving in today into the Rocky Mountain states, and that will contribute to the severe weather threat from late tonight into tomorrow night. Here we go into Wednesday morning. Here is that upper level support, again resulting in upward motion right in this part of the nation during the day on Wednesday. This is the Wednesday morning forecast map. We'll go out a little bit farther in time when we clear the page here. And here we go, that vorticity max then slides up to the north and east. But again, this is the area of concern for the possibility of some severe weather, including tornadoes, especially over Oklahoma and Kansas. We'll go out farther in time here, kind of moving through the end of the week into the upcoming weekend. And we just want to point out this next possibility. Here we go by Sunday. Look at this system out here, yet another vigorous upper level system here, a strong vorticity maxima with strong upward motion going to develop on its eastern side here. We'll go out a little farther in time, and here we go by Monday, excuse me, and then all the way into 1 week from right now. This is next Tuesday morning. A week from right now, strong upper level system here that will produce strong upward motion in much the same area as over the next 24 hours or so. The Central Plains, especially Oklahoma, Kansas. So watch for a second possible severe weather outbreak in about a week's time. Well, now let's take a look at the surface weather maps here from the 0Z run of the Canadian model. We talked about this yesterday. You can see this isobar pattern here, and you have very, very strong fetch of air from the southwest to the northeast. That is winds blow clockwise around high pressure systems and counterclockwise around lows, and hence you have this fetch of air from the southwest to the northeast that's pumping in that warmer and more humid air all the way into the Great Lakes region ahead of this cold shot. You can tell it's a cold shot this time of the year because you're seeing some blues here representing snow over those higher elevations of the Rocky Mountain states. We'll go out a little farther in time, and here we go. Just look at this isobar pattern here. Again, a strong flow of air from the southwest, from the Mexico, Texas, all the way into the Great Lakes region. Here we go by later on tonight into early tomorrow, and here is that setup showing up here by late tomorrow. You have perhaps a squall line, certainly strong to severe thunderstorms right here across the Central Plains, and I think this will extend all the way down to Oklahoma. So you have this colder air pouring in from the north and west. At the same time, it's clashing with that warm and relatively humid air rising up to the north from the Gulf of Mexico into the Mississippi Valley region. So watch out in this particular part of the nation, again, from late tonight all the way into late tomorrow night. Now we'll go out a little farther in time, and that vorticity center moves up to the north and east. That cold front moves to the east, and it could actually produce a couple of showers in the middle Atlantic region late Thursday night, early Friday morning, potentially, and ending a dry streak in places like Philadelphia, which where there has not been a drop of rain officially at PHL, Philadelphia International Airport, all month long. Perhaps the first day of November will end that dry streak in Philadelphia. Then we'll go out into the weekend and the early part of next week, and again we have this clash of air masses setting up here. Watch out again over the Central Plains this weekend, and then again early to middle part of next week. Here we go all the way into next Tuesday. This is a week from right now. The same kind of a pattern setting up with colder air and over the Rocky Mountain states and snow in those higher elevations, clashing with that influx of warm, relatively humid air from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up into the Great Lakes region, southern part of Canada, potentially setting up another severe weather outbreak in about a week's time. Much of the same area as what looks like could occur over the next 24 to 36 hours or so. That's it for now. For ArcfieldWeather.com, this has been meteorologist Paul Dorian.